Recording has started. So according to what I explained to us yesterday, inside this folder we have this GitHub, this node modules. Node modules contains the dependencies of the application. We have this public folder. The public folder contains the index.html file. Let's look at this to see it very well. This is the node modules folder. This is the public folder. If I click on this public folder, I'll see the index.html. So let's open the index.html file together. So here is it, index.html. It contains this. Now this will be the only HTML file on your page. Every other information will be sent to this place by the index.js. Look at the ID. The ID of this is root. We didn't create this. It came with the command we executed yesterday. So the ID of this is root, and this index.html gets its data from the index.js. The index.js is in the src folder. So let's go to the index.js. So here is it. Look at it, document.getElement by ID roots. So what happens is that it goes to that index.js and it renders whatever we have inside this place. It renders whatever we put here in that place. So let's change this to just something very simple. I will remove the app and change it to just a div, and I will say hello world. So let me run this command. After you are done downloading it, I think yesterday we were somewhere here. We were here yesterday. Let's open it. You can now the command you want to run now. You can open it. What's it called? You can run it with your terminal, Visual Studio Code terminal. But I just don't like using Visual Studio Code terminal. I just don't like it. So you can use any other one. You can use a CMD also, but then I still love using my node package command prompts. Or let me just use CMD directly. So this will open it in CMD automatically. How is it taking time?
I think it's the network.
You said?
So I think it's the network.
No, the system is slow. These days it's getting so slow. So let me zoom it so that we can see it even more. Oh, it's not. How do I zoom this? I want us to be able to see what is here. I don't want us to stand our eyes. Let me try to open this with this. If I'll be able to zoom this. This is something I can zoom so that you see my screen. How can you see this?
Yes.
What did I type on the screen? What did I type on the screen?
All React.
You said?
BNN.
Good. Yeah, that's what I want to confirm. Good. Since you're able to see it, then we can proceed then. So let me remove this VNN. I just want to be sure that we can see it. So next is, after downloading this, you will see this folder. Next is you want to navigate inside this folder. So you come here and run this command cd new app. That is, change directory to new app. This will take you from this place to the new app. So we are currently inside the new app. Next is you want to run this on the browser. You can say npm start. Whenever you want to run the React application on the browser, you use this command npm start, and immediately you run that, it will run it on the browser. So that will happen now when we come back here. So while we are waiting for it to run on the browser, let's look at some other things inside our application. So we looked at the index.js, and these are the contents of the index.js. Whatever you put here will be sent to the index.html. So initially we add something like this here. We add the app component here. We add this here initially, like I've commented this. So initially it was like this, meaning that we are saying that take this, whatever is inside this component, take it to the whatever is inside this app component, send it to the index.html. But now I'm removing it and I'm just displaying this hello world. So when we get to the browser, you will only see this hello world. I hope you understand.
Yes.
Okay. So let's look at what we have inside this app.js. In the app.js, we have these jargons. I will remove everything there, and I will write something very simple. I will create a function so when I'm done creating it, I will let the function return a JSX. Return. I just say return a div, and I say how are you doing? So this is returning a JSX. Next is export default app. So as I explained to us yesterday, when you export it as default, it allows me to give it any name here, meaning that I can call it Taye and it will still work. All I need to do is when it's time to display it, I will just say Taye. So once I put Taye here, it will export whatever is here. Then you are importing it here. Then this will display it on the screen. This is just like a version of yesterday's class. Then, but if it's not the default, let's say it is not the default. So this is not the default. If I want to import it here, I need to use that word app. Then it needs to be in a curly braces like this. That I'll say app, and of course I need to change this also to app. So that's the from yesterday's class. Any question before we proceed to today's class?
No, sir.
Okay. So I will change this back to this. Then this will be back as export defaults. Then I'll remove this here. So let's focus on this. I told us something yesterday that this will be like the root file. Every other file will be assembled here. Then this will now be sent to the index.js, meaning that you'll be doing little to nothing here. Like you'll be doing just little things here, except that you just put your app and some other and few other things. Most of the work you'll be doing will be inside this app.js and some other files that we are going to be creating to get that. So let's write some codes. Okay. You want to create a variable. Oh, there's something that is very important. If you want to use GSX, this is GSX. If you want to use GSX, you need to import React. From React. When you want to use GSX, this line is very important. This line tells React that, okay, I want to make use of React inside this file. In fact, when you import React, you don't even need to use the React for anything. Just import it like this and on. Like that's a import React from React. This allows us to be able to use JSX. So if this is not there, it's not going to work. You won't be able to use this. Let's move on. Next is, we want to create variables inside this place, and we make use of the variables. From what we learned before now, you know, if I have variable name equals to, let's say, Tolu, and I want to display my name is this Tolu, I can come here and say my name is. Now I want to make use of this variable inside this place. You know, this is JavaScript code. Why this is HTML codes, right?
Yes.
So you use curly braces like this, then you put your variable name there. So whenever you use these curly braces, it allows you to be able. You don't need to put that $sign that we use for year 6. You don't need to. In this case, all you just need is the curly braces alone. React handles that for you. So this is my name is name. With this now, I'll be able to use this name here. Any question?
No, sir.
Okay, let's move on. In order to display it on the screen, of course, we've imported it here, and this is just, so I don't need to touch this again. Let's proceed. Let me save this. Okay, it's about to open the browser. Next is, we know that any value, like you can write a simple JavaScript syntax here. I can say variable num equals to, in fact, I can say, let me just even remove this. I can say my number is, then I use maths dot random. This is just a simple JavaScript code. This will generate a random number for you because you are inside these curly braces. Once you're out of these curly braces, it assumes you are writing HTML. But once you are inside these curly braces, it knows that, oh, we are writing JavaScript codes. Let's move on to the next thing. Now, it is very important that this function can only return one thing. It cannot return two things. What do I mean? For now, I will remove this and write this. My name is name. Then I will create another div and say my number is math.random. As you can see, it has already underlined it. You cannot return two things. This is only allowed to return one thing. Now, even if you put this like this, it will still not solve the issue. You are allowed, this only returns one thing, not two things. But imagine I want to display these two divs on the browser. How then do I go about it? To go about it, all you need to do is to place the two divs inside a single container. So now the two divs, they are inside this big container. This container starts here and it ends here. Inside this, we have the first container and the second container. Let's make it much better. Oh, I will install I think I need to install, what's the name of this extension that will help me format. Once I remember the name, there's an extension that will help you format. Once you press Ctrl S, it automatically adjusts the code. I've forgotten. So just note that we have this big div, then inside it we have two divs. So that means this return is only returning one thing. It's still returning just one thing. I hope you understand.
Yes, sir.
Inside that one you cannot have millions of things, but note that this cannot return more than one entity. It cannot. So one thing we do is that sometimes you don't want, because when you get to the browser, they should have loaded it now. Okay, yeah, it's loading it. If yours is not loading it on the browser, just say localhost to whatever number you see here. 3000. This is 3000. Well, the app is usually 3000. But if another thing is already using that port on your system, it may not be able to work on port 3000. And when you make any changes to your code, it automatically sends it. Once you save it, it automatically sends it and run it on the browser. So let's go to the browser and see the results. Okay, instead of waiting for this, let's continue. Next is, I want you to know something. These values here, this name and this maths.random, they don't change. You understand what I mean now? Imagine a scenario whereby, is that?
Sir, please. Sir, in this place.
Yes, sir.
Sir, you said that it's only return one entity.
Yes,
but in
sir.
this place now, we have like 2 div here now, inside one div. Making 3 div.
Yes. But this is, look at this. These two, they are inside this one. So it is still returning just one entity. But inside that one entity, you can have 1,000 items. Do you understand?
Okay.
But you can't return two. You can only return one at a time. But inside that one, you can have millions of things.
Okay, sir.
Then next is next is we want to be able to change this name. Maybe I want to click on a button. Then when I click on the button, I want to change this name from Tolu to another thing. That's the next thing we want to look at. So let's add a button. Then I'll come here and say click. Okay, let's say change name. Change name. When I click on this button, I want to change this name from Tolu to another thing. Now, you know, based on what you learned in JavaScript, you are going to add an event, right?
Yes.
So let's add an event. But the way you write events here, it's a bit just slightly different. It would have been like this in JavaScript, small letter click. But here, the on is in small letter, but the click will be in capital. The click will start with capital letter. Like the on will be in small letter, but the event name will start with capital letter. Remember, we are currently inside JavaScript file, so that's why they stick to camel case notation. On click, just know that this C, don't put small letter, it will not work. This C will start with capital letter. Any event you want to use, maybe on key up, the key up will start with capital letter K. I hope you understand.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So when I click on this button, I want to be able to change this name. So let's create a function. And what the function will do is it will help us to change name. Note, if you're inside this return, it assumes that you are writing HTML codes. But if you're out of this return, you are writing JavaScript codes. You see, this is JavaScript, but inside this return, it is HTML. I hope you understand.
Yes, sir.
So let's create a function. So with that, I can create a function here. You might say function inside another function. Well, note that this is a component. This is a component. I can put another function inside this component. Remember I told us yesterday that a component has its own HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So you can create another function and put it here. So let's get a function. I'll get a function called change name. This is so slow, just too slow. So this is a function called change name. What we want to do is we now want to say what this function will do is let the value of name be, let's say, James. Do we get it?
Yes.
So when you call on this function, it will change the value of name to James. Next is we want to hook this change name to this on click. So you come here and say change name. Unlike in HTML, in vanilla JavaScript, where you put parentheses here to call on it. In this case, you don't put it, you just write the name alone. The reason is because the way React works is that when you put parentheses here, and I run this page, when I get to the browser, it will automatically run the codes inside this change name. I come again. It won't wait for us to click on this button. When you trigger a function like this, like when you put this parenthesis, it will automatically trigger that function. It won't wait for you to click on it. So what we want to do is, you don't want that to happen, just put the name here without putting parentheses at the front. But you put parentheses at the front, it will automatically call on that function on getting to the browser. It won't even wait for you to click on this button. Any question? Any question? Next, you can do something like this. You can say alert, let's say name. I want us to see something very interesting. Alert name. You know, when I click on this button, you agree with me that the value of name will change to James, right? Abina. Hello everybody. Oh.